This week on the Media Boss Podcast.
So you can consider us an agency of a kind as well. So we make custom branded mobile apps for podcasts. So if the Media Boss Podcast wanted an app on the App Store and Google Play, we would make that for you. And we are the most affordable, I think.
Welcome to another episode of the Media Boss Podcast. I am Dr. Barrett Matthews, and I'm elated to have you here today. And we got a good show for you. As you always know, we always have a good show, and I have a phenomenal guest. And you're probably saying the same thing you always say, Barrett. You always say that. But have I disappointed you yet? Have I? No, I have not. All my guests are great, and I have another one for you today on the Media Boss Podcast. Now, for those of you, if this is your first time checking us out, let me tell you a little bit about the Media Boss Podcast. What we do here is we want to let you be everywhere all at once. Now, what does that mean? That means using media in various forms, whether you have a podcast, a book, a film, a TV show, social media. All of these forms of media can be used at the same time. They don't have to be used just one at a time. You can use them all simultaneously and attract clients from all over the world. And when you can do that, you become a media boss. Now, what we want to do is make sure you are sharing this with everyone. So what I want you to do is make sure you subscribe to the podcast and make sure you share it with everyone. Let people know that you are listening or watching the Media Boss Podcast. Now, one of the things that I like to do to start every show is do what I call a media minute. Now, what's a media minute, Dress? The media minute is where I just give you some information about media. It could be a tip, it could be some news, it could be some advice or something hot that you need to know about. Well, today, the media minute is about those of you who are writing a book. And some of you may know this, some of you may not. But one of the things that I recommend in writing books is that you make sure that you have a copy for Kindle. Yeah, a copy for Kindle. And what I recommend to people is make it so that you can sell it for 99 cents. Put it on Kindle. And doesn't have to stay that way, but you start it out at 99 cents. And what that will do is it will drive people to get your book early. So when those people get your book early, it drives your numbers up in the algorithm with Amazon. So then they say, hey, a lot of people are interested in this book, and it drives you up. So this is how a lot of people become an Amazon bestseller. I know I'm giving away some secrets that people didn't want me to tell, but heck, you guys need to know this. This is what happens. This is how a lot of people become an Amazon bestseller, because they're selling their Kindle book for 99 cents. And the sales are what matters. It doesn't say they made millions of dollars. It just said they are a bestseller. And that's what you can do to become a bestseller as well. So that is your media minute for today. Now, today I want to bring on my guest, who is phenomenal. And we want to talk about actually two forms of media, as I put it, because one form of media is the podcasting, and you all know about podcasting. But there's another form of media that deals with technology that a lot of people, in my opinion, they don't seem to pay as much attention to, and I think they really should. And that is the world of apps. Yes, mobile apps. You have them on your phone, right? Exactly. We all do. Well, that is a form of media, because what it's doing, it is conveying messaging to other people. And is actually drawing people into your cycle. Well, the gentleman I have with me today is a master of that, so much so that he actually can put an app on your phone for your podcast. How cool is that? So what I want you to do, welcome to the Media Boss Podcast, none other than John Lee. John, welcome to the Media Boss Podcast.
Hi, Barry. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great to have you, man. Great to have you. So let me ask you, John, how did you even get into the world of apps, of creating apps?
That's a longish story. I didn't jump right
longish.
in. I've loved podcasts for 10 years now. Now it's the primary way I listen to content. I get most of my media, most of my education through audio now in podcast form. So I've been a big fan for many years, and I'm in software. My day job is as a software product manager. So I'm thinking about software, I'm designing software, I'm working with developers, designers every day. So, and I wanted to start my own business. This is like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The initial idea was I wanted to make my own podcast app, something like a Spotify or an Apple podcast, but it would be social. So you'd be able to go in there and make clips and share with your friends and family, because I was doing that kind of manually back then. I still do manually. So that still really isn't something that's integrated in a lot of apps today, but that's what I wanted to make years back. Fast forward, that didn't quite work out. It was very expensive and very difficult to make an app from scratch, working with an agency. I learned a lot, but I also went through a lot of pain as well. So I pivoted the idea and the business toward making apps for podcasts. And so we had a template, we had the underlying technology. It was just about finding the right business model. And so I experimented with reaching out to podcasters about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I've been asking them, do you think it makes sense for you to have an app on the App Store and Google Play just for your podcast? Because I did know of some other bigger shows that did have their own apps, but it's not something that most independent shows had.
Right.
So it was a new idea, not something people had considered. So I was like floating it, pitching it. And we have about 40 podcasts now that are my clients, and it's growing slowly, steadily. I don't do any marketing except talking to folks like yourself organically, but I think it's a good idea. I think it has legs. Like you said, it's another channel.
Yeah.
You're making content. The content can go out as audio, as video, in written format, on TV, in books. The mobile app for your brand is another channel. And I think it's one of the more powerful ones because it's yours. You're not sharing that channel with all other content creators. It's your front door to your studio, your shop, right on the phones of your listeners. And to get it there is difficult, but once it's there, I think it's a really powerful tool for engagement and ultimately conversion. Because I think content creators are business people. And at the end of the day, you want to be converting listeners and viewers and followers into customers, because that's how the operation becomes sustainable.
Yeah.
And I think what we're offering helps with that angle.
Now, you mentioned starting out, there was some pains you went through. Tell me about some of the challenges you went through.
Oh, I mean, I raised money from friends and family. So it wasn't, a small thing from the beginning. Like now I would do it completely differently, but I had to raise some money, and that's always challenging, raising money from friends and family to take a bet on you and to trust in you. And then the responsibility of managing that well and giving them a return. So there was that fundraising, there was finding an agency and hiring them, and agencies are very, very expensive. I don't know if people know this, but to build an app from scratch with developers, and like if you hire an agency, I think $100,000 is, it's like average probably to make a somewhat sophisticated app from scratch. So it's not a small investment. It's not a small like first business.
Yeah.
To try and then to fail. So I think that was a big step, because I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to jump in.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to take things a lot slower, a lot more organically. And I plan on making businesses going forward. So this is just the second iteration of my first business, but it's all a learning process.
Exactly. I'm with you on the fundraising thing. My brother he's been trying to get an app going for quite some time, and it's hard. The fundraising it's difficult.
Fundraising is hard. Getting anything going is hard. Everything is hard. That's also something I had to learn the hard way. Like to get anything up and running and maintain it even and make it successful takes so much work.
So I know you said you have like 40 people now using the app. So tell us about the app. Tell us about the app and what it can do.
So you can consider us an agency of a kind as well. So we make custom branded mobile apps for podcasts. So if the Media Boss podcast wanted an app on the App Store and Google Play, we would make that for you. And we are the most affordable, I think, crazy accessible service out there. So for $25 a month, we can make a mobile app for Media Boss on the App Store and Google Play. And that means if any listener were to download that app,
Mm-hmm.
they could at any time just take out their phone, tap on it, and get access to the podcast, get access to your YouTube channel, get access to your written blog, be able to convert, purchase books. All the call to action can be right there in one place. So I think of it, website is first. You definitely need a website. You can't have a business. You can't have a business nowadays without a website. But another thing to add that I think is really powerful, maybe as powerful, is a mobile app. If you can get any small percentage of your listeners to download your mobile app, that's a direct channel to them. You have direct access to them. No one can de-platform you because it's your mobile app. They can self-service their content consumption. They're going in whenever they want to. They may get notified if there's a new episode, so they can go and listen to that. But you can also send push notifications and initiate interactions that way. So it's like an email address or like an email list, but more interactive, better, as valuable as an email list. But the whole purpose of all these tools, I think, like the mobile app, building an email list, getting followers on social media, the purpose of all of this is to convert them, right? Like to convert them into financial supporters or customers, and evangelists for your content and your brand. So I think conversion is the key, and the mobile app is just another tool, and I think a quite powerful tool to encourage conversions of listeners and viewers into customers.
Okay, so the app, I know you mentioned about the conversion and about having like an email list. So does it capture the information from them, or do you have to set up something on there to capture the information?
Yeah, so we want the app to be as low maintenance as possible. So wherever the podcasters are already hosting content on the RSS feed, most likely on YouTube, if they got a website and a blog, if they have a merchandise store, all of that gets integrated into the app. So whenever they're updating on their normal hosting platform, it'll automatically update in the app. So there's no rework. You don't have to do additional work to keep the app updated. It's going to update automatically and then alert the user. There's a new podcast episode, check it out. Or there's a new YouTube video uploaded, check it out. So that's how it's designed.
And what about the listeners? Do you have to set up say a landing page on the app, or really?
Yeah, I mean, the apps are on the App Store and Google Play. So probably from the website, you'd want to link to your apps from your website. But also on episodes, you'd say, hey, you can find us on Apple and Spotify and on the MediaBots podcast app. Like you can just direct them, look for us on the App Store and download our apps. There may be exclusive content in there just for app download users. There may be special offers. So incentivizing your listeners to download the app is, I think, a good way to get users.
So when they download the app, their information automatically comes to you?
So when they download the app, you can track how many downloads you have, but in the app as well, you can users can register. So if they want to access, for example, the social features of the app, like joining the community and posting, or they'll give their email address and password, and that will build your email list.
That's wonderful, John. So what kind of feedback have you been getting?
So again, like we're a small, I mean, it's just me. I own and operate the business myself. It's a small business and it's a side business. But so far, most of my customers, once they get the app and they see the value of it, they stick around. So I think most of my customers have been with me for 6 months or more.
Okay.
I think it's an underutilized and it's an option people don't know yet. And I don't have the budget to advertise and market aggressively. So it's just conversation after conversation. Yeah.
Glad we have you here to try to push this out, man. Because I mean, this is cool. This is ground floor, man. I'm happy for you because it's something that, like I said, it's another form of media, and it's just another way people can get the message out. It reminds me of an analogy I always used to use to people having a landing page versus a website. And I always say, if you need bread, and you go to the grocery store, you may come out with everything but the bread because you go see so many other things. I said, that's a website. You go to someone's website, you may see all these other things and not get what you came there for. But when you have a landing page, they gear it specifically to where they want you to go. So if you go, it's like going to Wonder Bread Shop. You know they're selling nothing but bread there. Well, with your app, and if whoever gets the app, you want them to go to your podcast. And I think that's a wonderful thing, as opposed to just going to your business website where they may see your podcast, but they see all these other things as well. And I think that's a brilliant concept that you put together for people. Now, as far as you know, are there any other companies that do what you do?
Yes, yeah, there are other companies that do what we do. They're far more expensive. So I'm encouraging everyone to go on Google and search for how do I make a podcast or how do I make an app for my podcast, or making my own podcast. And you'll see other services out there. The bigger hosts also offer a mobile app as part of their hosting service. So some of the bigger podcast hosts offer that. But again, it's pretty expensive, and we're the most accessible. And I think the most beautiful option as well. You're not going to find a better platform to customize and create a professional looking app than ours.
I like that. Now, is your app capable of having it so you can engage with them from the app? Engage with them?
Yes. Yep. We have a direct chat feature as well, and social features. So folks can, once you register and sign up, you can post text, images, comment, and just like on any social media. You're building your own little social media community inside the app. So that's another feature. And just to go back to what you were saying about the app being like the one place to go, the apps are really customizable. So you could make it just for your audio content, but you could also customize it to be the one-stop shop for your brand. So it could be the place to go to listen to podcasts, but also check out the videos, read the blog.
Yeah.
All of that. Yeah.
I
Sign
like
up to the newsletter.
That is so cool. So when someone gets, do you? I know you don't do the marketing, but do you advise them on how to market their app at all, or is that something you just leave it to them?
Just generally. So my back end that I use is Patreon. It's my membership platform. Okay. Everyone's familiar with Patreon. So we communicate through there, through that chat function. And I try to connect our clients to each other, and we can share notes and what's worked and what's not. So it's a community as well, our little community of custom mobile app clients. We try to help each other out.
So that's good. That's great to create a community as well, because I think what you're doing is very, very needed, and I think it's going to grow by leaps and bounds, man. I like knowing that you're just really getting this thing off the ground, and you're having some success with it. I know it's not probably the success you want at this point, but hey, it has to grow. Every business has to grow, and I think that's a wonderful thing. Now, I do have to ask you, do you have a podcast?
I don't. And
so
I don't know if I will start one. I've got so many things on the plate now. The business, a day job. I don't think, and I'm raising a 6-year-old. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's too much on the plate right now to start a podcast, but maybe one day.
I know. I'm messing with you because I know what it's like when you're trying to do this big venture. It's hard to stop and do something else right now. It's hard to, I get it. And it's especially when you're trying to help podcasters, it's kind of hard to build your own podcast at the same time. So I totally understand that. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to take a quick break. And what we're going to do is we're going to come back with more of John Lee here on the Media Buzz podcast. So what I want everyone to do is stay right where you are, and we'll be right back with more of the Media Buzz podcast. How are you going to learn everything you need to know about starting a podcast? Well, at the Create Your Podcast Weekend, we put it all in 2 days and help you get your podcast going by next week. That's right. by next week. All you have to do is come to the Create Your Podcast Weekend and let us show you how to get your podcast up and running. We will show you how to attract listeners. We will show you how to get people to pay you for your products and services. What products and services? The products and services we show you how to create, all at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. All you have to do is go to createyourpodcastweekend.com and get registered today. And we have special bonuses. Some of you will even get us to give you the equipment to start your podcast. That's right. We're going to give some of you the podcasting equipment to get started. Go to createyourpodcastweekend.com. That's createyourpodcastweekend.com and get started on your podcast by next week. Starting a podcast can be a daunting task. There's a lot that goes into it, and you're probably wondering if you're able to handle it. Well, why don't you just take 2 days and let us teach you how to do it at the Create Your Podcast Weekend. That's right. We're going to show you all the aspects of how to start your podcast, how to keep your podcast going, how to attract listeners, and how to make money with your podcast. CreateYourPodcastWeekend.com. Get registered right now. Everybody, welcome back to the Media Boss Podcast. I'm Dr. Barrett Matthews. And as I said earlier, I have a great show. I told you my guest is fantastic, and we're talking to none other than Mr. John Lee. John has created an app. Well, he creates apps for you for your podcast. And I think it's wonderful. So if you have a podcast, it just makes sense, man. It just makes sense for you to get out there and have an app, to have another form of media to get your message out to people, because people, and John, you touched on something a while ago about how you were saying that you get a lot of your content from podcasts. And I always tell people, everybody gets their information from some form of media. And I always tell people, as far as being a media boss, you need to be wherever they are, so they don't miss you. So I like that. And see, some people get their information from apps. Some people use apps all the time. So John has a way to do that. So John, before we wrap up, I want to give you an opportunity to let everyone know how they can go about getting an app. And also, is there anything else that you have that you're working on that you'd like for them to take part in?
Sure. Thanks, Barrett. So we have a website, and I've tried to make it as intuitive as possible. It's just called custommobile.app. So you can find us there at www.custommobile.app and read all about our service, my service. You'll see a pop-up that helps you connect with me. You can schedule a call and we can have a chat. So I'm looking forward to talking to all your listeners. If you mention you came through Media Boss Podcast, I'd like to offer you all the first month free. So just try it, no risk. See if you like it, see if it makes sense for your podcast, and then we can continue from there. So we'll learn something, in that
make
first
sure
month.
We put that in the show notes. So that, yeah, please let them know that you came through Media Boss Podcast. So John, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and please let us know the growth of the business. I'm looking forward to talking to you some more, possibly about an app for the Media Boss Podcast. So I definitely want to do that. But thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Barrett. Appreciate you.
No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, that was John Lee here. I have something for you as well. For those of you, for your first time here, I have a gift for you. And that is my training on how you can get more paying clients for your business. That's right, paying clients. So what I want you to do is go to www.5waystoPayingClients.com. That's 5waystoPayingClients.com. Go there right now. Go ahead and get your free training from me to you. So what we're going to do is take a quick break, and we're going to show you how we get out of here on the Media Boss Podcast. So stay right there. We'll be right back. Why should you contact Media Boss Club right now? Well, because you can get a podcast done for you. You can learn all the aspects that go into putting together a great podcast, and have someone else do it for you. That's right. We will build your podcast around your content and make it so you can concentrate on the money-making activities of your business. Contact MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com today, and let us get your podcast started right now. Let's face it, you've been talking about starting a podcast for quite some time, but you haven't started yet. Why is that? Could it be that you just don't have the time because your day-to-day keeps you so busy? Or could it be that you don't want to learn all the technical aspects that go into putting together a quality podcast? Well, at Media Boss Club, we take care of that for you. How would you like to have a done-for-you experience? That's right. At Media Boss Club, we build your podcast for you. We will edit your podcast. We will put in the music for you. We even put in commercial breaks that you can put your advertisers in. We will take care of all of the uploading to the great podcast platforms that are out there. That's right, we do everything. All you have to do is just right now go to MediaBossClub.com. That's MediaBossClub.com, and let us handle the heavy lifting for you. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Media Boss Podcast with my guest, John Lee. Fantastic. I hope you guys are taking advantage of his offer and getting yourself an app for your podcast. Now, what I also want to make sure you do is know what we are going to do here at the Media Boss Podcast for you. So the first thing I want you to do is make sure you heard John mention this. I want you to go to our Patreon, Patreon.com/Media Boss Podcast. Make sure you support the podcast, and we have some nice perks for you guys as well. Also, you just heard me offer you there the five ways to payingclients.com. Make sure you check out 5 ways to payingclients.com and get my complimentary training. Now, for those of you who are serious, I mean serious about becoming a media boss, what we want you to do is take our 5-day training, which is called Make Money from Media Challenge. That's right, the Make Money from Media Challenge. Are you up to a challenge? Well, we're going to give you 5 days of intense training to see if you're ready. And we're going to show you how to implement all of these strategies as far as getting your business to the point where you can become a media boss. And I'm going to give you a little tip here. Sign up as a VIP. Sign up as a VIP because the people that are VIP get some extra perks that the Journal of Admission just may not get. I'm just saying. Now, also, if you're interested in having your own podcast, so you can call John and say, do my app for me. If you're interested in getting your own podcast, text the word podcast to 929-244-4323. That's 929-244-4323. Text the word podcast, and we can get that set up for you as well. We also have a done for you podcast we can do for you. So, hey, get that taken care of. And last but not least, make sure you are subscribing to the Media Boss Podcast and you're sharing it with everyone, because we want to make sure everyone can find out how they can become a media boss. So it's time for us to leave here, guys. And you know how we get out of here on the Media Boss Podcast. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Media Boss